Bayou by Me is definitely a very educational episode of Postcards from Buster. This is the 16th episode of the first season, and Buster is in Louisiana. And he meets some kids who teach him all about the Buster crabs, which I thought was a brilliant name for these little small female crabs. And I learned about the existence of Cajun French, which I'd never heard of before. So I actually learned quite a lot, and we had some beautiful shots of the bayou and the water and the animals, and Buster is trying to find this monster for his film footage, but whether or not he'll find it I'm not going to say, but we have a nice little narrative there. However, Buster acted in a way that was a little bit selfish, and that provided us with a really good lesson, because his father kept sneezing, which I'll be honest was really annoying. I wish his father had like a headache or something instead, because it would have sounded less irritating. But his father kept sneezing. But Buster, his father was kind of a pushover, to be honest, because Buster dictated everything they did, even though his father really needed to stay home and rest. But apparently Bo is a pushover and doesn't stand up to his own son and say no means no. And Buster also lied by omission, by not telling his father where he was going, and he went somewhere that he really wasn't meant to go to. And the lesson, well, there are two lessons there. First of all, if your father says he's unwell, don't be a brat. Don't demand that you do things your way when your father needs to rest. But also, don't lie, even if it's lying by omission, by not admitting where you're going, because your parents look out for you and generally have your best interest at heart. So if they say don't go somewhere, it's usually for your own safety, which I think is always a really important message. It's not the most varied episode, it's basically just crabs and fish, and that's about it. But the shots of the bayou were beautiful, and it was really lovely to look at. And as I said, there were various educational elements as well, at least for me. I didn't know anything about most of what was mentioned, so I found it to be quite fascinating. And there was some information about floods and houses that were on stilts. It dispelled some myths about alligators, which I thought was really useful and very interesting. So yeah, not the most varied in terms of the footage or in terms of what Buster gets up to, but definitely full of educational information, opportunities for learning, and also a pretty good life lesson there as well.